Hi everyone, welcome to Alma Pro Awakenings. My name's Nikki. I really can't wait to dive into today's topic. I have a few notes over here to my left that I'm going to be taking a look at just to make sure that I stay on topic. But today's topic actually is called the brain versus the heart brain. And I know that that sounds a little bit confusing, but a lot of times when we have inner conflict, the thing that we struggle with is the difference between what our brain thinks and what our heart thinks or what our heart feels, and it puts us into a little bit of a discrepancy. And that's the topic that I want to address today. So let me start just by saying that in today's videos, our goal is to solve our inner battles. And we're going to do that by learning how to balance the brain information and the heart brain information and into one understanding, so that way we're not kind of going back and forth all of the time. So there's a few different steps to accomplish this, and the first step is to actually recognize how your spirit communicates with you in the brain. It's important for us to recognize that, because at the onset of any situation, our spirit self is going to give us an intuitive type of prompting in our brain or in our crown chakra that will help us to really recognize what the truth of a particular situation is, or what the truth is of the experience that we're having at the time. Oftentimes that brain communication happens so quickly that we don't really pick up on it or recognize what it is. The second step in understanding this is to recognize how our spirit communicates with our heart brain. And our heart brain is the part of us that really thinks from an emotional perspective. We have feelings, they get kind of clouded up in our heart chakra, and we have a hard time grounding those or bringing them into an understanding that will help us to come to some discernment on the topic that we're trying to come to discernment on, or make a decision in the thing that we're trying to make a decision on. The next step there is to realize that where these 2 points of communication end up, and what do they do inside of us that causes us to have this turmoil, and recognizing that if we can balance out these 2 forms of communication, brain communication, heart brain communication, instead of going back and forth between the two, our goal in step number 3 is to really bring those 2 things, those 2 forms of communication into balance, and to figure out where those messages actually go to. The next thing is to recognize how those 2 pieces of information actually become our inner conflict. And once we recognize that, it's kind of like problem solved. Then we can really make a good, clear, qualified decision or understanding of the things that we are currently struggling with. So let's just start with step number 1. And step number 1 is to try to kind of identify an internal conflict that you have, or that you come upon often, or an experience where people have the ability to trigger you emotionally, and it might set you off, or it might make you feel like they just know what buttons to trigger in you. So that's kind of the first step. So I'm going to give you an example and just kind of go through my story, so this way you can recognize how this happens, and hopefully you'll take the elements of that and be able to apply it to your own life. Okay, so my inner conflict has always been that I'm not academically intelligent, and that used to bother me. Bothered me throughout my whole life, probably up until maybe 10, 12, maybe 15, 16 years ago, but I did struggle with that growing up. So my inner conflict, just to give you a sentence of that, is people treat me like I'm stupid, or at least I feel like they treat me like I'm stupid, or maybe I think I'm stupid, and that's why I have that inner sensation of that. So that's how we're going to start it. That's my inner conflict. I feel stupid and people treat me that way, or I perceive that they treat me that way. So let me give you an example of that. One year, many years ago, we were at a Christmas gathering, and my sister had brought up the topic of the Da Vinci Code. That book at that time was like super popular, and everybody was reading it, and it piqued my curiosity. And let me just preface that by saying that I'm not a reader. I'm not one that will sit down with a good book. I'll audio listen to a book, but for me to sit down and listen to a book, that's kind of not something I would typically do. I have a couple authors I like, and I read only those authors, and those are the types of books that I read. So at the time that this book became popular and everyone was talking about it, it was like the craze, I decided to read it because it piqued my curiosity in the different conversations that I had been privy to as people were reading it. So I read the Da Vinci Code, loved the book actually, and so we're at Christmas dinner, and over the conversation, my sister brings up the Da Vinci Code, and apparently all of my cousins and my aunts and uncles and most of the people in the family had read the book, and so a discussion, of course, ensued, and everybody started to discuss the book. Normally, I don't give my opinion about different things, with my family, but I did that day, and I started to give my opinions and my theories that I was talking about the book, and I'll never forget it because I was sitting there and I had my daughters with me at the time, and my sister looks at me and she's like you would ever read a book, Nicole? Oh my God. And just that expression from her, like, oh my God, Nicole, like you would ever read a book, it just hit me. And I got so irate, and I'm thinking like, okay, excuse me, like I'm the one that got you a job at the help desk, give me a break. And I just got so angry, and I started to react in a way like basically she triggered me, and I felt it, and it hurt, and it brought something up in me that I had not really experienced in quite some time. And it was that feeling of like, I feel stupid, and I feel judged, and I feel stupid in front of my family, and it really got to me. And so needless to say, my reaction to my sister wasn't so nice, and I started to say things I regretted saying later, and I got upset, and she yelled, and I yelled, and everybody yelled, and my dad yelled, and everybody got involved, all because Nicole, me, had an opinion about the Da Vinci Code. And so that's what happened. So now I want to talk about that experience, and I want to break it down because I want to show you the two different forms of communication that I received during that. See, when spirit talks to our brain, when we have intuitive information that comes through our crown chakra, it will often happen at the onset of the situation, before you're triggered. I mean, at the immediate onset. So a lot of times we don't catch this brain information, or this part where our spirit talks to us through the crown chakra, because it's on its way to our heart, and we are going to get upset because our emotions are going to be triggered. And that's what happened that day. So our goal here is to kind of slow down that brain activation. And oftentimes when you start to learn this concept about yourself, it's the first few times that you try to do this, it's a little bit difficult because you almost have to do this in retrospect. The experience happens, you blow up, you get upset, you feel really deep emotions about something, and then later in the evening you're like, oh, I wish I wouldn't have said that, or I probably could have approached that in a different way. And so sometimes in retrospect, we have regret of the way that we behaved or the way that we responded to a situation. And that is what happened that night at Christmas. I got upset. I came home, I was, talking to my husband about it, and I'm like, I don't know why I let them trigger my buttons. I don't know why I let them get me upset. And so let's go back to the moment. At the moment that my sister said that to me, and if you replay the video, you'll hear that it did come through in my explanation to you about that example. That when she said, oh, please, Nicole, like you would even read a book, the very first thing that popped into my head was, give me a break. I got you a job. Now, I was a software engineer at the time. I worked for a very good company, and my sister was looking for a job. She was previously a manager at a restaurant, and she was looking for a job. She's college educated. I am not. And so I looked around in my company and I connected her with the people that would get her a job. So at that time, my sister had that opinion of me and that she said that to me, I had been, I'm the one that got her a job. So let's slow that down. Now, right there at the beginning of that's the first thing I thought. And immediately after I thought it, I got angry and I started to say things I regretted saying later, and I criticized my sister and she criticized me, and the whole family got involved, and it was a terrible argument in the family, all because I had an opinion on the Da Vinci Code, and I let her judgment of my level of intelligence, I let it trigger me. And I didn't know how it happened, and I didn't know how she had the ability to do that, but oh my God, she really did. So I want to take a moment here and explain that when we slow this down, we're going to find in that slowing down that there was a message there. Now, that message is actually the message that we want to bring into our heart chakra, because we want to take information from spirit and we want to bring it through our chakra system and we want to manifest it. And oftentimes our spirit's voice, when it rushes through our brain, is so fast that we can't even hear it. And this is the goal of, in retrospect, you go back and you try to think about it a little bit. And that's what I did. And I realized that as soon as that experience occurred, that's when I had that thought, I got you a job, before I got upset. Then I got upset and that took dominance. So the information, I got you a job, is actually the information that I should have, that flew through my brain, that I should have taken from my brain into my third eye, into my throat, and into my heart, and into my solar plexus, and into my sacral chakra, and into my root chakra. But I didn't speak it. I didn't say anything. It came in, I heard it. It popped in my vision here in my third eye, because I remember talking to my boss about how I could help my sister get a job. And then I didn't say anything about that. I didn't tell my sister, I got you a job. I just kind of kept my mouth shut as far as whatever I heard in my brain. And because I closed that off, because I didn't say anything, because I didn't honor that truth, it got stuck here in my throat chakra, and it didn't go anywhere. So it stood there. So the information that came, it got stuck right through here. Now, this is a place that sometimes our brain information, which is simply your spirit giving your human self a piece of information that flies into your head that you want to bring into you. But because we don't speak our truth, sometimes we don't stand in our truth, it's a little difficult when we muffle that inner voice. We get so used to muffling that inner voice. That's why it goes so fast through our brain. That's why it flies through, because we've ignored it for the majority of our life. And when we ignored it for the majority of our life, it doesn't really settle itself in our brain in a conscious way. It just kind of flies through. So now I've caught the thing that flew through. And now I want to step that now. I didn't do it at the moment of the experience, but I want to step through what would happen if I brought that information into my being fully. So it flew through my brain. If I would have caught it, I would have recognized here in my third eye the memories and the visions of me as I was seeking in my job at that time to get my sister a job. And if I would have spoken that truth, I would have said, well, Angela, I don't think I'm that stupid if I have a good enough job that when you were looking for a job, I got you a job. And I must not be that ignorant that if I recommend that somebody get hired at this company, that they actually got hired. So if I was what you're saying I am, then you wouldn't have the job that you currently have. And I think if I would have said that, if I would have honored that, if I would have brought that information into my throat chakra and expressed it, then I think I wouldn't have gotten so angry, because I would have taken information from my spirit that discounted her opinion of me reading or not reading the book, or the validity of my opinion about the Da Vinci Code. I would have brought it through to my throat energy. I would have expressed it. I don't know what she would have said at that time, because I didn't give her the opportunity to have a different reaction than other than getting mad at me and yelling back at me. I didn't allow that opportunity because I blocked off that initial thought that flew through my brain that I almost didn't even catch. And so then, because it got stuck, this is the part where the inner conflict happens, because now I'm not responding to my sister based on the information that my spirit provided to me through my crown chakra, through my third eye chakra, and then it hit the next chakra in my throat, and I was supposed to speak it. And I could choose how I speak it. I could speak it mean, I could speak it nice, but I didn't speak it at all. It just kind of stayed there, that information. And again, I didn't grasp it. It flew through too fast. But again, later when I was talking to my husband about the situation, I did bring it all the way through. And I did tell him the things that I just got done telling you that maybe I should have talked to my sister about. Maybe I should have said to my sister, look, I got you a job. All right. So let's hold that thought there for a moment, and let's bring it down to the heart chakra, the heart brain versus the brain, because we just talked about the brain. Now we're going to talk about the heart brain. So if I did not catch that thought that my spirit said, I got you a job. Like, I'm the one that got you a job, Angela. That was me. That's how you started in your career of technology, because of me. And so I didn't have to say it mean. I could have said it nice. The point is, I didn't say it at all. So it's stuck. Now, if I responded in an emotional way to my sister, which I did, I got angry, everybody got involved, everybody got angry, everybody got upset. So since I didn't express information from my spirit, what information did I express? If I was emotional about it, if I got upset about it, if I cried, if I yelled, if I pled my case or whatever, that means that I was reacting from the heart chakra, the energy in my emotional self. And so now I'm in conflict, because why, if I know the truth and I know I'm intelligent and I know I'm a software engineer with no education except the education that the company I worked for gave me, and I had been in my career for some time, I was at the medium to high level of pay range. My sister was a restaurant manager, and I got her a job in that company. And since that time, she has progressed, and she does very well in her career now of technology. Okay, if I responded not that way, and I responded from my emotion, what the heck is in my emotion that made me respond that way? Where did that button, where did that trigger come from? So since my inner conflict, as people always treat me like I'm stupid, or I think I'm stupid, we went through that whole thing at the beginning. Then I gave you an example of where I was challenged about my level of intelligence when I had an opinion on the Da Vinci Code. Then we spoke about how my spirit threw this thought in my brain as a response to my sister telling me that about the Da Vinci Code and about me reading a book. And I was like, I got you a job, Angela. Then that information kind of got stuck there. So now I'm left trapped with this huge intense emotion, even though I know the truth that I'm actually smarter than my sister. So I think anyway. Or at least I don't even need to compare, because I feel smart within myself that I don't need to wonder if my sister is smart or not. So what's in my heart brain? And how did the information get into my heart brain? So this is where we have to kind of go back and retrace our childhood. And so I asked the question I needed to from myself. I asked my spirit, and I said, well, if this is my inner conflict, that's what we did, identify inner conflict. And this was the truth that my spirit responded to in my brain about this example here at Christmas in the Da Vinci Code. Then it did not get expressed. So something in my heart got expressed. So I asked my spirit, when was the first time I ever felt stupid? Because if the heart is responding, then it means that that emotion is already there. That trigger or that button, it's already there. We already know about it. And that's what my goal is here, is to try to help you to figure out, where did your heart brain information come from? Why did I respond with my emotion and not with my brain? And so I asked my soul, and I kind of went back and asked myself, well, when was the first time I ever felt stupid? And I'll never forget this. And this is the memory that occurred to me when I asked myself the question about when was the first time that this inner conflict of feeling stupid was part of my memory or part of my life. So in the second grade, we were learning how to spell. And we had to take home a spelling list. And the spelling list had like, here's the hint of the word, and then it had blank spaces, and then you were supposed to, from the spelling list, take the word that fits. It's like a hangman type of thing. And so I forget what the question was, but the answer was shirt, SHIRT. That was the answer. And so I knew that was the answer, and I wrote it down, but I had one letter, like one blank space left. And for the life of me, I couldn't figure it out. I got really frustrated. My mom was doing laundry downstairs, and I went downstairs and I asked my mom, I'm like, Mom, I don't understand this. This is the answer. Isn't the answer shirt? And she said, yeah, Nicole, the answer's shirt, honey. And I looked at it and I said, but it won't fit. I have an extra letter. And my mom immediately started laughing. And she called upstairs to my dad, and she said, Nicole wrote the word shit on her homework paper. And she was laughing, and it wasn't mean or anything. She just thought it just struck her funny. I was so stressed out about it because I had this blank space, and she was just hysterical laughing. And so she helped me to correct it. I corrected it. I came upstairs, and I felt stupid. My mom was not being critical. She was not being judgmental. It just struck her funny. And I didn't really laugh along because I felt like I was mortified. Like I felt mortified. And, my older sister, Angela, has always been the smart kid. She's the one that got the good grades. She's the one that was on National Honor Society. She's the one that went to college. I'm a jarhead. I went to the Marine Corps. So she has always been held up in my family, esteemed for her intelligence and for her academic ability. And so when I couldn't spell the word shirt and I put the word shit, and everybody thought that was hilarious, I didn't feel like it was hilarious. And I think ever since that day, I not only accepted the role of being the dumb kid, I accepted the role of not doing as well as my sister in school, and I accepted an understanding that I was not very academically intelligent. But when we fast forward that to many years later, I was a Marine for some time, and I was a truck driver in the Marine Corps, and the captain asked who wanted to come into the company office and type up some orders. And I said I typed, even though I didn't, but I learned in 2 days how to type so I could do that job inside the company office. And then I started to work for a captain in the military, where I started to create databases. And then after that, I got hired at a very prestigious company at the time, and they trained me to be a software engineer, and I became a computer programmer. And through the course of my career, I ended up as a senior applications developer in a very good firm. And so if I add up all of my points, I am smart, and I am academically intelligent, and I learned how to be a computer programmer without a college education, and I do all my own computer work. So my reaction to my sister's criticism of me having a valid opinion on the Da Vinci Code didn't really hold water when I stepped through the initial thought of, I got you a job. If I would have brought that all the way through, I would have told myself everything I just told you about the things that I worked for and learned and became during the course of my career. So when my sister criticized me, what responded was my heart brain. And even though my soul told me, you got her a job, like, look at your career, like, you're okay, it wasn't what stayed in my heart. And it wasn't what was in my heart. So now I have to rectify that, right? I have to say, hey, information is a two-way street. Anything that my spirit tells me, it is going to come into my existence, and it's my job to manifest that information on earth, to bring it into my solar plexus, to recognize, hey, I am smart, right? And to bring that all the way through manifestation. That's our job. Information from heaven will manifest itself on earth. Information from earth, we try to transcend to heaven. So here's information that happened on earth. I kind of got made fun of because I wasn't smart, because I put the word shit instead of shirt. Even though my mom wasn't making fun of me, I felt made fun of. And after that, everybody just thought I was stupid and would make fun of me all the time about my schoolwork and my grades. So that happened on earth. And my goal is to take that information and transcend it. Well, it happened at my root chakra. It affected my sacral chakra because now when I was 7, I wasn't so sure if I was in a good relationship with myself, because I don't think I was as smart as my sister. So that hindered my relationship with myself. And then when it came up to my solar plexus, well, the title or the label that I put on myself, or that was put on me that day and through the remainder of my life, was that I wasn't smart. So that was my part of my self-identification. And then when it came to my heart energy, well, of course, I didn't feel so happy about that description. I didn't have the ability to transcend that in my mind. It didn't go to heaven. It just stayed kind of stuck in my heart chakra, because even though I had accomplished those things that I did accomplish, it stayed there. And if you ask, why does emotion stay stuck in our heart chakra? Why do we have a hard time transcending that to the realm of heaven or the realm of spirit? And the reason that happens is because emotions don't really age, right? So, our brain ages because we put information in it, and our body ages because we put food in it. But our emotions don't age. They don't grow up. They don't learn something new. Hey, if you learn about anger when you're 7, when you're 27, anger feels the same. It didn't change from when you were 7 to 27. Anger feels like anger. When you feel stupid at 7 years old, next time you feel stupid, maybe it's when you're 37 years old. Does it feel different when you're 37 years old? No, it doesn't, because emotions don't age or change. You can't put anything new into them. You can't have any different experience that would make it feel like, well, I'm more sad, or, I feel more stupid, or, basically you just don't learn anything new about an emotion. And emotions don't age, morph, or change. The way they feel is the way they feel. The first time we feel them, all the way up and through our life, they always feel that way. So let's use that as our example here. And let's say that this feeling of not feeling smart or feeling stupid, let's say that that is an emotion that I learned about when I was 7. I was in 2nd grade. So it's going to sit there. Now, I've learned things. I've grown. I've become more intelligent. I have a good job. I'm all grown up. I pay my own bills. Like, I've done the body thing, the physical thing, have a job. I've done the brain thing because I did the work and the study, and I went to all the classes that my company sent me to learn it, so my brain aged and became able to do computer programming. So my brain aged, my body aged, but feeling stupid, that felt the same. So now when we're looking at information in our brain or in our heart brain information comes from a time of our life from before, where we were a younger age, where we learned about the emotion that is currently being triggered inside of us at the onset of an experience. Okay? So now I'm having an inner argument, right? Because I have truth from my soul telling me I'm intelligent, and from the earth, my family, and when I was little, and me accepting that label of not being intelligent, that's what stuck. So now, if my soul tries to tell me something about me being smart, and it hits here, and I don't express it, and I don't bring it into my heart energy, then it stops. So the only thing available to me is the information that is already here in my heart chakra. Okay? And that says, I'm stupid and I'm 7 years old. So now I know. Now I know what my inner conflict is. Now I know what's in my brain from my soul, and I know what is in my heart from my childhood. Now, that's where my argument comes from. That's where that button comes from, and my family knew it, and that's what they were always able to trigger in me. Now, when that happens, it's because they have the ability to trigger that button because someplace inside of me, I have accepted the fact that I am not intelligent. And so now we move to the next part of what we're trying to recognize here, and that is, how do I balance out the information, which is in total contradiction, within me? How do I balance out my brain information and my heart brain information? That means, again, that someplace inside myself I've already agreed that that's true about me. So now my goal is to say, how do I fix it? Because even if I get them to change their opinion, I could give them a list of how I'm intelligent. I could have listed it out on a bulletin board for my sister. But it doesn't matter, because whether she gives me credit for being smart or she doesn't give me credit for being smart, it only triggers inside of me. So then the one that has to fix it is me. And if it bothers me, then I believe it to be true about me someplace inside of myself. So I thought of doing all of the regular things that would be in comparison to fix it. So I thought, well, I could go get a college education like my sister. That would make me feel smart, because in my family, that's what it was. If you had a college education, you're smart. If you don't have a college education, you're stupid. So I thought, at that age of my life, with 2 children, a mortgage, 2 car payments, and a dog, that maybe I'll go back to college. But it didn't. When I started to think about that, really, that would prove that I'm smart to everybody, if I could just get a college degree, then that would be great. So I looked into it. Oh my gosh, no way. It was like going to take me 4 years. It was way too expensive. And even if I had my college degree, I would not make any more money at work. I was already in the medium to high range of my salary cap, and I wasn't going to make any more money even if I did get a college education. So it didn't really bolster very well as one of my potential fixes. And everything I kept thinking about, it just wasn't resonating with me. So if I feel stupid because of that experience in my life, but I'm telling myself, and my life is even a display to prove that I'm not stupid, why do I still feel that way? We know why. So we're fixing it, remember? So how am I going to fix it? I ask myself, where do I feel stupid today? Today. Where do I feel stupid today? Well, at the time, I was a software engineer, and I did a lot of C programming. I even did a lot of C++ programming. So object-oriented, that's great. But I was terrified of Java. So there's a programming language called Java, and every time a project would come up at work that would involve Java programming language, I would kind of cower off in the back, and I would hope I wasn't going to get picked because I didn't know Java. And to be straight honest with you, it terrified me, and I just couldn't do it. And unfortunately for me, well, fortunately for me at the end of the day, my spirit guided me to fix the thing that I felt stupid about. So I chose the thing, and it was take a Java class, because I thought, if I feel stupid, I'm not trying to change my sister's opinion. I'm not even trying to convince myself, because I can convince myself with the life I currently have. I can convince myself that I'm not stupid. But if that's true, then my sister wouldn't be able to trigger me in my heart brain, and she did. So I decided to take a Java class because that's the place I felt stupid in on that day. And I took the Java class, and I took it, and a friend of mine was in it, and he gave me all the answers. So I kind of cheated, or he helped me cheat, or he gave me the answers, whatever you want to say, and I got an A in the class. I memorized the questions that were going to be on the test really well, and I got an A. And I finished the class, and I thought, this should make me feel better. But nope, I still felt stupid, and I still didn't have a grasp on Java, so it didn't work. So I took the class again. And I took the class again because, keeping in mind, it wasn't so much that I was trying to learn Java. I was using Java as a way to prove to myself that if I could get through Java and understand it and write an application in it, then I must not be stupid. So I took the class a second time. And I used all my homework from the first class as my basis for doing the homework from that class. I got a B in the class, and I passed the class with a B. But guess what? I used all my homework from the previous class that my friend had helped me with, so I still didn't feel like I had a grasp on the Java language. So I thought, I can probably get through writing an application on Java because I had enough training by this point with 2 classes, but I still felt stupid. So I took the class a third time, and I took it at a different community college. So this way I wouldn't be able to use the homework that I had used in the first 2 classes as a way of completing my assignments, and thought I'd just do it from scratch. So I struggled through that class. It was hard, but I worked on it, and I did well, and I got an A in that class, and I passed, and I did all my own homework, and I understood it. And when I finished my final exam and I got my scores back, something happened to my heart brain. I didn't feel stupid anymore. I just didn't feel stupid anymore. And it blew my mind. And I so want you to feel that. I so want you to feel the weight of something you've carried in your heart brain all these years. I want you to identify that inner conflict, and I want you to come up with a plan to honor the thing that your spirit told you. And my spirit said, you got her a job. You're smart. And I thought of all the times that I was smart. And then when I was talking to my husband, I repeated all those things about the things I had accomplished that showed me that I was smart, but that I still didn't feel smart when it came into my heart. And then I had to ask, why don't I? And I came up with this memory of when I was like 7 years old. And then I thought, okay, I can fix that. I can take that and figure out how to make myself transcend that earth experience to heaven. I can take care of it. And it took me 3 tries, but I did it. And after that, I never felt stupid ever again in my life. Not because I proved it to my sister or to the outside world. My life at the time was proof to the outside world I wasn't stupid. I came out of the Marine Corps, became a software engineer. Obviously, I'm not stupid. So it didn't matter what the world thought. It didn't matter what my resume said or how much money I made or if I could yell it at somebody and prove to them that I was smart. It was something happening inside of me that didn't let me settle. And when I found out where it came from and I made a plan to address it and I accomplished that plan, that's how I transcended heart brain information to heaven. So let's fast forward about maybe 6 months later. After that experience, I was again with my family and we were having a conversation about something, and I gave my opinion, and my sister Angela again criticized my level of intelligence, and I don't know what happened, and I don't even know what the shock look on her face was, but when she challenged my intelligence again, I just simply said, Angela, aren't you tired of, making fun of me over whether or not you think I'm intelligent? I go, it really doesn't matter what you think. It really doesn't matter to me what your opinion is. I know I'm smart, and I don't have to prove that to you. And I don't have to prove it to you because I already proved it to myself. So if you feel better about criticizing me, well, that's more about you than it is about me. And then that was the end of that conversation. And I didn't get triggered, and I didn't feel stupid. And so it was better. That's what I want you to have. That's what I want you to learn. I want you to know that all of that inner conflict that you have, it was created in a time of your life where you just simply accepted that description of yourself. And you don't have to do that. You can change it, and you can prove it to yourself. And if you go deeper inside of yourself and you ask the same types of things that I asked me, you will find that you will be able to transcend those triggered moments. That's it, folks. That's all I have for you today. I just want to go over with you again the different elements that we covered today to determine how we transcend this experience. So I'm scrolling right now. What did we do first? We talked about our situation or our example. We identified our internal conflict. We recognized how our spirit spoke to us. That's called our brain information. Then we recognized that when that wasn't successfully dealt with, that we focused on our heart brain, and that we paid attention to where the information came from our earlier childhood or earlier time in our life where we learned about that emotion and the label that we allowed to be our description of ourself. And then we realized how those two pieces of information kind of came into contradiction. And then we made a plan to fix it. And then we fixed it, and then we were all better. That's my goal. So that's my explanation on brain versus heart brain. I hope you got through the whole video, and I hope you really enjoyed it. You guys can reach me at almapura.com or on my Facebook page under Almapura. And again, my name is Nikki. I've loved spending this time with you today. I hope you come back for future videos. I have a lot of them on my Facebook page and YouTube page, and I welcome you to join me. Look forward to connecting with any of you that would like to reach out. Please give comments if you feel that this was helpful or if you feel that it wasn't. Again, thanks so much. Love you. Bye.